Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining our webinar today, where we'll be talking about how to automate Gmail admin tasks. My name is Rosita. I'm a product marketing manager here at Zenphi. I'm very excited to share with you how easily you can automate your Gmail workflows with Zenphi. Before we begin, let's quickly walk through a few housekeeping items. So this session is going to be recorded, and you can find a recording within a couple of days after the webinar. And please feel free to ask any questions you have in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and someone from the Zenphi team will answer. And also I will be answering the questions from the chat at the end of the webinar. Okay, so Gmail management is an essential part of the work for different departments in the organization, and automating those Gmail tasks hugely benefits all of them. So IT admins can free themselves from repetitive tasks, and the marketing teams can use email signatures, for example, to drive campaigns more efficiently. HR teams can be confident that during employee onboarding or offboarding, all the Gmail settings are correct. And there are various ways how you can start with automation. Of course, you can use GAM or AppScript, but maintaining the code can be quite challenging as well. So today we're going to learn how to automate Gmail admin tasks with Zenphi. Zenphi is the only no-code automation tool built specifically for Google Workspace. And with the very simple drag-and-drop interface, you and your team can build sophisticated workflows. At Zenphi, there are dozens of powerful actions that you can use to free your time from repetitive tasks in the most efficient way. So during the next 30 minutes or so, we'll see how to automate updating the email signatures across your organization, how to automate Gmail label provisioning, and also auto-provision filters and aliases within the employee onboarding process. And we'll explore some more useful Gmail actions. So let me quickly switch to Zenphi account and we can get started. Okay, so we are inside the Zenphi account, and we'll start with creating a space for automating our Gmail tasks. You can think of a space as a container where you'll keep all the assets related to your process automation. Here we have many templates that you can choose from to get started quicker, but we'll proceed with an empty space for now. So let's name our space Gmail admin tasks, and let's change the icon to this one. Okay, so once we are inside the space, we see different tools that will help us with automation, and we'll create a new flow. A flow is an automated workflow that consists of a trigger and actions. A trigger is an event that initiates the flow execution, so it can be a Google form or type form submission, it can be email arrival, and many others. But for this demonstration, we'll choose on-demand trigger, which means that we can manually initiate the process execution whenever we need it. So let's click on Create. And now we are in the Flow Designer, where we'll be building our workflow. So let's quickly explore what we have here in the designer. So here we see the trigger that we've chosen at a previous step. From the left side panel, we see all the actions that we can attach to our workflow. They are organized in categories. For example, we have all the actions for Google Sheets, like update row or lookup rows for Google Slides. But you can also search for the needed action here. And here we can name our flow. And the first thing that we'll automate is bulk setting email signatures. So let's name it set email signatures. All right, so let's assume that we have the Google Sheet with all the users we need to update the signature for. And let me show you the Google Sheet sample. So here we have employee's email, name, and the title. So that's basically all the information that we need to set a unique email signature. And let's go back to Zenphi. Okay, and the first step of our flow will be read rows from the Google Sheet actions. So let's find it here on the left side panel. Here it is, Google Sheets, and we are interested in the read rows. And we just take this action and drag and drop it to the workflow. So to set up this action, we need to click on the gear icon. And first of all, we need to establish the connection. So a connection is a way to authorize external apps so Zenphi can integrate with them. And to establish a new connection, you just click on plus, and I'm going to use one of my existing connections. Now, by clicking on this drive icon, we'll choose the Google Sheet that we're interested in. Here it is. And by clicking here, we are choosing the sheet name. Okay, now we need to specify that we are interested in all the rows that we have in the sheet. And here we are indicating that this Google Sheet has a header. And after we click on load columns, Zenphi will go and automatically read all the columns from this Google Sheet. Okay, so we have successfully set up our first step. And the next step of our flow will be a logical action called for each item. So let's find it here. Here it is. Let's drag and drop it to the workflow. So as far as we expect multiple rows to be returned with the Google Sheet action, Zenphi will return it in the collection format. So with this action, we can take this collection and break it down to each employee's data. And let's click on the gear icon again. And here we need to specify the collection that will be returned from the previous step of our flow. And for that, we'll be using token picker, which is a way to put dynamic data within the steps of the flow. So let's click here. We see that we have one previous action. And we're interested in the collection of rows. So that symbol will show us that this is the collection. Alright, so the next actions that we are going to put will be located in this for each loop, which means that there's going to be a unique email signature created and updated for each employee from the list. And now we attach the action called replace placeholders. Let's find it here. Okay, here it is. And we drag and drop it here. And in this action, we are indicating the email signature template as an HTML file. And inside the HTML file, we have the placeholders that will be unique for each employee, like name, email, and job title. And inside this file, we put this data into curly brackets. So I have prepared my HTML file earlier, and I'm just going to paste it here. And by clicking on Add Token button, we are specifying where Zenphi should take the values for this data from. Okay, so we have name, email, and the title. Again, by clicking on this token picker, we are going to take the data from the previous action, which is for each loop. And as you can see, our collection now has been opened up, and now we see the data for each employee. And we're just gonna map this out. Email and the title. And finally, the last step of our flow will be set email signature action. It's located in the Google Workspace section here, as well as all the other Gmail tasks. So here it is, set Gmail signature. Again, here we are establishing the connection. I'm gonna choose the one that I already created, but please note that the Google Workspace connection slightly differs from all the other connections that we have, so the instructions for setting it up will be a bit different. They are still pretty simple, and we prepared a short guide for you on how you can establish this connection, and you can find this guide in the chat. The next field will be user email, and we are taking this with the token picker from the for each loop action. So we taking this email from the Google Sheet. Also, we can specify any alias emails, but we'll leave it empty for now. The next step would be choose the format of the email signature. It can be text, it can be HTML file, and again, we choosing the HTML file for this demonstration. And the last thing would be indicating the signature itself. And we're taking this signature from our previous action, which was replace placeholders. So basically, this HTML file would be a unique email signature that Zenphi has created within the previous steps of the flow. So we're clicking on plus, and our flow is ready. So let's quickly go through the steps once again. So once we initiate the process, Zenphi will go and read the rows from the Google Sheet where we store our employees' information like their emails, names, and job titles. And then for each employee, Zenphi will go and create a unique email signature and update it accordingly. Okay, now let's save our flow here in the top panel and run a test. But before, let me quickly show you the signature that is currently set at the account that we'll be testing right now. So let's click on compose, and as you can see, it looks like this at the moment, and we expect it to be changed to the branded unique signature. Okay, let's click on the test run now, and we're selecting start a new test instance. Okay, and now from the left side, we see how Zenphi is going through all of the steps of the flow. Okay, so we see that the test is completed and the flow ran successfully. Let's close the test session and let's go back to Gmail and see the changes. Okay, now we have reloaded the page, and let's click on compose. And we see that the signature has been updated and it has all the unique information related to this employee. So just like that, in a matter of minutes, we created a flow that can automatically create and update email signature for the specified employees at your organization. Of course, that was a simplified demonstration just to show you the setup process, but it can be easily customized for your organization's requirements. So, for example, instead of reading the rows from the Google Sheet, you can take the employees' data directly from the Google directory. And you can do that with the search users action. So with this action, you can filter the users by the email addresses, by titles, by the manager, by organizational unit, by the department, and other parameters. And as an output, you will receive all the information about employee, like again, job title, employee status, phone number, and basically everything that you have inside your Google directory. Moreover, you can change the trigger of the process. So, for example, you can schedule the email signature update to sync with the marketing campaign, or you can even allow your teammates to initiate the process when needed just by submitting a Google form. So, whatever logic you have in mind, you can implement it with Zenphi. Now, let's switch to another scenario, which is managing Gmail activities within the employee onboarding. So, for that, I just wanted to quickly show you our Google Administrator template space. And in this template, we have some pre-built basic workflows for you. And to launch a template, you need to go back to the space creation page and then choose the Google Workspace admin template. And once you click here, you'll be presented with the description of all the processes included in this template. And when you click on use this template, you will need to establish a few connections. But I will open the space that I created earlier. Here it is. So inside the space, we see multiple flows available for us, and we'll open the employee onboarding one. So that's how your onboarding process may look like. So let's say that you have a form that you need to submit and specify all the employee information like name, email address, role information, title, manager, organizational unit, etc. Then once the form is submitted, we're gonna go and format the start date. Then we generate the password, create the user in Google directory, add this user to groups if needed, and update email signature using the same logic that we used in the previous scenario. And as part of your onboarding process, you may want to add some Gmail actions and, for example, auto provision common organizational labels and filters. And now we're gonna learn how you can do that, and for the demonstration purposes, I'm gonna switch to the new flow to show you how it will work. Okay, so in this flow, we'll read the rows from the Google Sheet with the Gmail labels. Then we're gonna assign all those labels to the specified Google Workspace account, and then we'll add one sample filter. And finally, we will create a forwarding address for this account. Again, you can imagine this workflow happening after Google Form submission, but in this example, again, we're gonna use manual trigger. Now let's quickly walk through each step in more details, and then we're gonna test our flow. So the first step would be the same read rows action that we already familiar with. Here I'm specifying where do I want to take the labels from. And let me quickly show you this Google Sheet. So yeah, it's basically the list of all the labels that I want to add to a new employee. Then again, I'm gonna be using for each item action that we already know how to set up. And the next step would be creating Gmail labels. Let's click here and see how it's set up. So we're establishing the connection, then we're specifying user email that we want to create Gmail labels for. You can use the token picker, but I'm just going to be using my test account and type this address into the field. Now we need to indicate the labels names, and for that I'm going to be using the token picker and take the data from the for each loop action and choose the label name. And also we can specify here if we want this label to show on the side panel, and also if we want to set up the message visibility. And the next step would be creating Gmail filter. So the process of creating is pretty straightforward as well. Again, we're just specifying the user email. Then we're gonna choose the criteria for our filter. So here you can see the same criteria that you will see in Gmail if you will create the filter from there. In this example, we'll say that if the email comes from this email address, then we're gonna be adding the label which is project A. Again, here we can use the token picker, or we can just type the value in. We can type multiple values and just use comma for that. But for this demonstration, we just add this one simple filter. And the last step would be creating forwarding address. And again, here the process is super simple. So we're just indicating the fields for the user email and the forwarding email that we want to set. Okay, now before testing this flow, I just wanted to quickly show you the Gmail account that we will be testing this flow on. So let's quickly make sure that right now we don't have any labels in this account, and we don't have any filters, as well as any forwarding addresses for now. Okay, now let's click on test, start a new test instance. Okay, perfect. We see that all the steps went through successfully, and let's go and check our Gmail account settings. Okay, so we see that those labels showed up immediately. We also can see that here is the new forwarding address added. And let's also check the filters. Okay, we see that if the message comes from this account, then the label will be applied. Okay, so that's how you can easily automate some repetitive Gmail admin tasks during employee onboarding. And you can imagine that if organizations' requirements are changed, editing this flow will take you just a few minutes. It's also super simple to create more complex logic. So for example, according to the employee's department, you can create unique labels and filters. And for example, you can do that with switch by value action that will automatically create logical branches for you. And let's quickly look through other actions that you can benefit from. So if we open Google Workspace section, you can see that there's a ton of different activities that you can automate. For example, during employee offboarding, you can create Gmail delegates. You can also delete forwarding addresses. You can delete Gmail delegates. And if needed, you can get all the labels, filters, forwarding addresses from the accounts that you're interested in. Also, if required, you can update Gmail labels inside specified accounts in bulk, which is gonna save you a great amount of time. And if we open our Google Directory section, you can also see how many different user management actions we have here. So we can automatically create users, groups, update them. And for the Gmail activities, from there you can also add aliases within your employee onboarding, for example. And the process is pretty straightforward here. So you just need to specify the email address for whom you want to add a new alias and the alias itself. Okay, so today we've learned how to automate the most popular Gmail activities within your Google Workspace. I'm sure that it will save you lots amount of time and energy, and also significantly improve the collaboration within your organization's departments. Now we are open to the Q&A session, so please feel free to post your questions through the Q&A section, which is located at the bottom of your screen. And I'm going to check if there are any questions waiting already. Okay, and the first question is, can I automate sending the emails from Gmail? Yes, absolutely you can. And if we open the Gmail section in our Flow Designer, we will find this send email action. And let's drag and drop it to the flow so I can show you in details. So here you can indicate all the required parameters, like where do we want to send this email, who do we want to add to copy. We can indicate reply address. Here we can specify the subject. This email can be in the rich text or plain text format, or even in HTML file. And also we can add attachments if needed. And wherever you see this token picker, it means that you can also insert dynamic data from the previous steps of the flow. And that's not everything that you can do with these Gmail actions. What else you can do, you can manage the labels for specific emails. So for example, if we attach this add label action after send email action, here we can establish the connection. Then we need to specify the message ID that we want to add the label to, and we can do that with the token picker. So here from the send email action, we're just gonna take this data. And once you establish the connection, Zenphi will go and check all the labels that are connected to this account. So as you can see, we have these newly created labels, as well as some of the basic ones. And if you switch to select dynamically, you will also be able to type in label IDs or use the token picker as well. Alright, so I hope I was able to answer your question, and let me check our Q&A section. Okay, we have another question. So how to check process stats? That's a good question. So if you're interested in how the specific flow is performing, you just open the flow main page. So let's quickly save our flow and go here. And here on this page, you will see how many flow rounds you have in total, how many are currently in progress, how many were successfully completed, and how many folded. And also, if you click on each flow round, you will see more information about it, like the time and status of each step. Here you can also rerun the flow if needed or delete it. And also, if flow was unsuccessful, you can also see what was the error and how to fix it. And flow run is just flow execution. So for example, each time one employee is onboarded and is going through all of those steps, we call it as a flow run. Moreover, if you want to build a solid analytics around your process and create dashboards with metrics like how many employees were onboarded within a specific period, what is the average time to onboard an employee, etc., you can easily do that with Zenphi tables and dashboards. And let me show you one simple example. I'll just quickly open one space for you. So let's say you automate document approval process, and with Zenphi you can automatically transfer all the parameters that you need from the flow to the table. And let's quickly open this table. So for example, we can automatically transfer document name, document status, how many days it took to approve this document, the link, the time, etc. And then we can create dashboards using the data from this table to display real-time metrics like this. So for example, here we can display how many documents were requested in total, how many approved, how many rejected. We also can display something like how many days it usually takes for each manager to approve the document. We can create some pie charts and other widgets to create analytics for our process. We will send you a detailed tutorial on how to use tables and dashboards, so save that link somewhere and try it yourself. Believe me, it's a very simple and very quick process. And we have one more question. If I need help, how can I contact you? So if you need help, you can contact us anytime through the support chat or just by writing us at success@zenphi.com, and our success team will be happy to assist. Also, we offer free personal consultation calls. If you and your team need some advice, best practices, or anything else, please book a demo with us, and you'll see a link to book a demo in the chat shortly. And if you need a quick answer to a specific question, you can also check our Help Center documentation, which is available right here. Okay, I can see some more questions in the chat, but unfortunately our webinar time is finished. But don't worry, we'll get back to you with the answers through the email. Also, as promised, we'll send the recording of the session within a day or two. Okay, so with that, I just wanted to thank you everyone for joining us today and asking questions. I hope after this webinar you'll be able to automate your Gmail tasks with ease. And please contact us at success@zenphi.com. We'll be happy to chat and help. Okay, have a great week ahead and hope to see you at our future webinars. Bye.